Hey, how you guys doing? I'm Alex. So the T32 Heavy full review. Um, yeah, I really love this tank. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I hate it and I love it. I hate the accuracy of it, but I love the turret armor. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think when I first got this tank, I absolutely hated it, and because I didn't actually understand two things in this about this tank, and that is I didn't even know what hull down meant when I first went up this line. And I found that a lot of people would shoot me and bounce the shit out of me, but it didn't take long before I started running into people that knew exactly where to shoot this tank, and that's when I became really frustrated with it, which we'll cover that here in a second. But first, I want to go ahead and show you guys how I run this tank. And I wanted to go ahead and just mention to you how thick the turret armor is. So, bad hull armor, amazing turret armor, which I'm going to say that it really did have that. So, it's something you can't really argue with. So, 127 millimeters on its hull, 76 on the sides, 51. So the hull, it can be pinned by a lot of tanks, but the turret is a tier 10 turret. It really does. It requires a heat round. I'm gonna say from a T54, T54 with its 330 heat round, and even that sometimes will just bounce it. It has to be a perfectly flat shot, and of course it has 197 on the cheeks, and of course 152 in the rear, and that's a lot of armor. The tracks count as 25, the barrel counts as 40, 20% chance of engine fire. Now I wanted to point out some of the best attributes to this, which is 10 gun depression, but it only has 5 across the rear. So if you do decide to shoot behind you, you're only going to have half the gun depression. So just keep that in mind if you are going to try and shoot behind you. It does, however, have 20 elevation, which is actually pretty good, because if you're on cliff and you got some guy up on the lighthouse, you actually can back up and shoot him, but you got armor to haul down anywhere, which makes the tank amazing. Now I'm going to go ahead and mention that here's another attribute: 400 meters of view range stock. That's pretty good. It's the same as the Tiger, and it definitely beats the IS-3. Now, if you look at it's pretty bad. It's got great gun handling though, which is kind of amazing considering that it's with a fully trained crew. Has 0.39.3 accuracy. That is terrible. For a tier 8 tank, it really is. It's worse than the IS-3, but I'm going to say that it still can hit stuff pretty accurately. You can hit bottom plates, you can hit hatches. You might miss every once in a while. So gun depression, aim time is actually pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, you don't really need enhanced gun laying drive, I'm going to go ahead and say, but I myself personally like to use it. It's either that or a vertical stabilizer, which I did want to kind of just go ahead and show you guys how I run this, and I'm working right now on getting the perfect crew for it. Ventilation, gun rammer, and I'm going to say I rotate between vertical stabilizer and enhanced gun laying drive. But I'm going to say in this match, I'm using this. If you guys are just playing random battles, use the enhanced gun laying drive. If you guys are going to play in a tournament, I'd recommend vertical stabilizer, because you're going to need to snapshot people. So when we talk about crews, what would we want in a crew? We want the best performing crew, right? We want to know when we're detected, so 6th sense. We want to be able to get better crew training, so we want to train faster. And we also want brothers in arms, which is actually this button. It actually selects all of them. On the PC, you can train each individual crew member, but you're limited to what you can train them in. So there's your first 3 perks. Now the next one that I would actually go for myself is snapshot, which improves, as you can see to the left there, it improves your accuracy on turret rotation by 0.012. And it gives you on full rotation 0.29. So that's worth having. And of course, you can go with smooth ride, which increases your accuracy while on the move. So them in combination, makes it pretty decent, left and right and on the move. You can't really snapshot a lot, but you actually can hit stuff. So those are the basic perks that I would go with. But let's take it further. So that's 5 perks we just went through. So what would be the next 5? I'm going to say that they don't have it on PC, but I'd say track mechanic is a good one. Repair, firefighting. But I'm going to go ahead and recommend some other stuff too. Before you do that, you might want to think about getting Eagle Eye. Eagle Eye lets you know if people are damaged. The next one I'd probably go with as well would probably be, let me see here. I'd probably go with situational awareness, which will increase my view range, and I'd probably get recon. Now at this point is where you'd want to go and get repairs and firefighting, you know, but I'm going to say repairs and track mechanic and then firefighting. That's 11 perks. But I'm going to say that you can get away with it on this, because if you are playing in a tournament, you can always use 10 gold and just swap out mentor for firefighting. So I would go ahead and go with repairs and track mechanics for my 10 ultimate perks. So 2, 4, 6, 7. It says I only have 7 here, huh? Let me actually see. Did I do this right? Oh, that's because I didn't do all of them. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of weird because, like I said, you can train each crew individually. Yeah, having those perks, though, will make it so you don't actually have to have a fire extinguisher. And I will say that you can also get controlled maintenance or preventive maintenance if you wanted to. But going to go ahead and say that preventive maintenance you know, can prevent your chance of engine fire, but not actual fire. So this is another thing that you might want to actually have on your tank. Seriously, you might actually want to have that. But yeah, on the commander and on that, it's pretty decent to have that kind of a crew. So let's go ahead and look at the armor real quick. So at first look, you can see all this red and purple and stuff, but look at this gauge here. As you can see, 298, and then this one says 298 here is in purple, and that's because it's actually, it says here spaced armor thickness, which means that this little purple area actually can withstand a heat round, which means it does have a spacing on it, which is kind of cool. So heat rounds should not be able to pin it, and it does explain something to me. The other day I fired a 250, which should never pin it. But it you know, it ate the heat round. But anyway, just to show you guys how good this is, even at this angle, so if you're hull down and nobody can see your hull and somebody shoots at you, it's still 300 thickness. Look at that, 240. Even at this angle, you're still talking about you need a tier 8 gun to pin it, and that's crazy. This can take on multiple targets in a hull down position. Now it does have one weak point, but could you imagine hitting this with any tier 8 vehicle? You might have to worry about this with like a Grilly or maybe even the Waffle, because it's right in the area of 253. But there is a real weak point, and that is if you shoot a little high on it, and if you can actually hit that, it's only 229. So the hull, though, is actually really weak. As you can see, it's really weak down towards here. It's almost as though the angle is almost rounded, so it's 175 equivalent. But it can be as thick as 224, which is actually thicker than the Tiger 2 armor, and that's kind of crazy to think about that. This is its weak point, the same as the T29 is that machine gun, and you can see here that even on this angle, if you're trying to shoot here, this is the spot you'd want to shoot, is to shoot that machine gun up high on it. And you can see that the bottom plate on PC is actually a little bit thicker. I'm going to go ahead and say that the bottom plate is more like, you know, 170, because you can pin it with a stock 175 penetration gun, you know, off of a IS-6. I have before, even at angles, you know, I've pinned it. But anyway, that's pretty much the armor. You know, I wouldn't attempt to side scrape with this tank at all. You can do it, but it's much easier to get behind hills and mountains and use it in the hull down position. Anyway, let's go ahead and see that in the gameplay. Alright, so here we are on Prokahavaraka. I never can say that right. I usually call it Provaca, but anyway, this is actually one of the best ways to use it. And if you guys go ahead and take a look at our platoon we're running here, we actually have the perfect hull down vehicles. Now, I did want to go ahead and mention, did I say vehicles? I meant vehicles. So, having 198 on this doesn't mean that people can't pin you. I'm going to go ahead and say that on console, that this turret, although should not be able to be penetrated by any tank in this room, even with their tier 10 heat rounds, because it does have that, you know, anti-heat protection. I've actually been pinned by people that with heat rounds in it. So I don't know if that actually is actually part of the model on console. When I looked at the model, it didn't show it on there, so I don't know if it counts as a heat barrier. So the only places you have to worry about on PC is the hatch, you know, and that's a rare shot to make, I'll just say. So if you guys watch this, this is kind of a longer game. It really is, but it's a good one. So the place that I really like to be in is actually the F6 area, with the T32 anyway. But I'm going to say anywhere along the this E or F, the F to 6 is good. Now, if you guys don't know this on console, nobody goes to the hill anymore. And the reason why is because it's absolutely ruined. There's no reason to go up there because too many people can shoot you from the right side. And I think they did that to make it so people can't, well, they can get to the cap easier or something. But basically, the entire battle has been limited to this area on console. And anybody that does cross over will pay for it. And you guys will see it here. That there's no reason to go to the hill anymore. Do not go into the you know into the 0 line area at all. There's no reason for it. If anything, you can guard your own base from the bridge, you know, instead of doing the other stuff. And you can see here that I'm bouncing all kinds of stuff. You can hear the stuff's just gonna start coming off the turret like dong dong. Now I want to shoot him, but it's really weird. I don't know if you see that. I got a highlight on him, but I don't have the red outline, which means I don't have a shot. And you can see right there, that was a round that would have normally pinned, but it was actually hit me at such an angle. It's an auto ricochet with this turret. You can see here, I'm missing shots, as you can see, which kind of sucks, but I am getting some target spot hits right here. As you can see, we've kind of spread out along here because we have 2 T32s and a T34. And we have a new clan member, which I wanted to go ahead and give a shout out to him. And that's Vivacity. Vivacity Shadow. You know, real good player. He is actually a very good player. And that is his WN8. So he's a, you know, real good light tanker. And you can see I'm not really afraid to give the back of my turret. I actually just want to make sure that I can take out this M103 and I get that shot. Don't kill him, but I do get that the credit for it, which is cool. So this guy I've had enough of him. You can see that I actually did take a pin from the front, but guess where I got shot at? On my hull. So cresting the ridge is not wise, as you guys can see. It's not my turret getting pinned, it's actually the hull. So it's something you want to be careful of, is that sometimes 10 gun depression seems like a lot more than it really is. So people trying to pin this, you know, as you can see, look at the brown marks on the back of the turret. You can see I'm trying to get a snapshot on this guy, but if I stop moving, there is a possibility I can get nailed, you know, in my hatch or somewhere else. So I'm trying to get into a good position. And I actually tell Gary over here, which, you know, give a shout out to Gary as well. He's been in a lot of games with me. Gary, I was like telling him, you know, hey man, you should try and come more right so you can use the tracks as protection, so they can't shoot you from the left on this. Now, if you go too far to the left, as you can see, I gotta let that reticle shrink, and that's where I'm gonna go ahead and say that I wouldn't have been able to make that shot if I would have had the vertical stabilizer. But that shot right there, when I go to spin to make that next shot, I can't make that without vertical stabilizer. I have to wait a real long time. So you have to kind of weigh, if you have the option, if you know what kind of map you're going to be playing. I'm going to go ahead and say that you're much better off using, you know, the best one for the job. So anyway, looking at this tank, you know, a lot of people really don't think much of it, especially people that have played it, and they don't understand how you could be so good in it. Because it really is about, the only reason I took any damage is because I went too far over the ridge, you know. And even now I'm kind of, you know, firing as though I'm in a, you know, a Tiger 2 or something, because it just doesn't have that kind of accuracy. You do have to wait a little bit before you fire, and you can see, you know, people shooting APCR rounds. You can see red rounds zooming by me now because they think that they can actually pin it. The only damage I'm taking, like I said, is actually from my hull. And you can see I bounced again. Now, going up against a Centurion 7-1 is not something that I want to do. And so I back a little bit further down the hill so he has to come and play my game. And you'll see here I'm going to switch to high explosives because just like me, he's got a really good turret too. Now I will say I could switch to APCR. You can see that I carry 10, but that is for tier 10. You know, it's for tier 10 vehicles. I don't waste them on tier 9s because you don't need them. You can actually, you know, shoot hatches. You just got to take your time and be patient. And I'm going to tell you that I myself am not a patient player. I really am not. And I do work on that. You can see he gives me the side of his turret and I hit him, which is pretty good. Kind of a low roll, but I'll take it. Still got an AMX shooting me on the side. And that's really the only thing preventing us from tearing these guys up, is that there are guys on the hill that I could technically be shooting at, but I don't want to give the back of my turret to that Yag Tiger, and who knows what else is over there. Now we have a guy rushing up the one line, and so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of maneuver around here. I was going to go towards the one line and kind of swing around, and I'm going to go ahead and say that Vivocity's got shots on this guy right here, and so I'm trying to keep him lit up so he can keep nailing him from the left. There's nothing worse than being on this map and having that happen. You can see I'm going to go ahead and nail him. I'm really high on this this ridge line, and I see him over here, and I go, I'm going to take a hit, but I'm going to give him one back in return. You can see there's a pin. Now, I really wanted to kill him. But as you guys can see, I've used my hit points, you know, and, you know, I fired in the non-hull down position, taking damage, and also dishing it out. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I don't recommend doing that. And if I was a more patient player, I probably wouldn't have taken so much damage. But I will say this: in my defense, that was a tier 9 vehicle. You can see that lack of penetration at that kind of range. And the inaccuracy means I cannot pin, like, between tracks. I can just hit an actual target. Now, the AT-15 sideways, I can pin, but I'll tell you that when he's facing me, I cannot. And that's something I do not like about the gun on this, but I'm going to say that if I had to, I could just basically move into a different position. You can see that that round falls low. And I haven't fired any APCRs because you don't need them. And you'll see here, if I keep trying, I'm eventually going to hit this guy. Eventually. And so I'm zooming out to make sure, and somebody else gets him. But it was a GG. I thought it was a really good game. You know, perfect example, if you ask me, of how good this can be in a hull down position. Being able to take on tier 9s. Having tier 9s basically know not to press the ridge. He came up to get that shot on me because he knew that I had overextended myself, and I thought I was going to be able to just come down on him. But you can see here, really good game. Got my Mark of Excellence, which I've already had that. I got Steel Wall. I got a Confederate. 3,515, 13 penetrations, blocked 1880, which is insane if you think about the amount of damage blocked. And you can see it's like, you know, all of us, you know, Norca tops of the board right there. Not the entire top, but definitely in the top 6. Anyway, that's pretty much my review of the T32. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, of course, comment, like, and subscribe, and have a good one. Later.